Good morning, this is John, host of the Prepared Mind channel. Welcome new subscribers, welcome old subscribers. I want to thank you all for contributing and participating in the comments section. And let's get to the topic. A lot of you have probably been wondering what set me off to discuss feminism so much and to discuss Mgtow and men and leadership and masculine qualities and all that. Well, as we get closer to SHTF, and I know we're getting closer, I feel it's going to be important just for your survival. Just for your survival, to understand the difference between being a man and being a woman, thinking like a man and thinking like a woman. And I really don't care if the topic in my discussion or my opinions are considered sexist. I just don't care. It doesn't matter. If it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. You can choose to believe what you want, take the information for what it is, take it or leave it. But history proves out what I'm going to say. So let's see if I'm accurate. Masculinity has been under attack. Shortly after the United States Constitution was written and passed. The reason being is that men began to act like men and they stood up to the king. They quit being peasants and servants of the king and became their own men. They were willing to take action for their own benefit. They quit acting like pussies, in other words. And once you've had enough, you stop having enough and you give up being weak. So men were very strong through the mid and late 1700s and into the early to mid 1800s. But they were very hard to control. These wild, free men. And they believed that they had a good, they meaning the powers that be. Back then, there were powers that be. They needed to reel men back in. And they started doing it with psychology. They outlawed what is known as the duel. The duel was an individual man's way to challenge the honor of another man or defend his own honor. To defend his own. When they outlawed duels, they took away a man's ability to defend his honor. His honor being that gift which he gives himself, his self-respect, his self-worth. And it doesn't matter how ego-driven it is, that is his and his alone. And the government took it by outlawing duels. This also occurred when fascism was instituted. Yes, way back in the 1800s. Fascism was introduced into American government and American policy as a means to subdue the individual and bring about the collective activity of the country. And men were told that if they wanted to defend their honor, they had to use the judicial system, the legal system. And that was the first step, one of the major first steps in emasculating America, emasculating men, controlling us, in other words. Men lost the ability to fight with swords, to fight with guns, to fight with their fists in a duel. It became so prevalent, this idea of stopping men from acting like men, that we are where we are today. You can't even voluntarily choose to fight somebody without being a criminal, without having committed a criminal offense. Where the state steps in when dealing with us, they deal with us like they're children. They deal with us as a woman deals with her children. They mete out punishment as they see fit, showing favoritism. So What does this have to do with shit hits the fan? Well, it has everything to do with shit hits the fan. The Civil War took away the state's independence. It took away an individual's and a man's independence, his ability to be independent of the government, until the government were to go, which is go to hell. They could not ever again have anyone stand up to the government the way the South did and say, we won't have any more of you. They needed to further emasculate men, because they could not have men choosing to stand up and act like men. And since then, it has just been a barrage of anti-man policy. And once again, I don't care what you think about this, other than I hope that you think. When women were granted the right to vote through a constitutional amendment, that emasculated the nation of America. Because 100% of the voting population, which was male, masculine, became 50%. It was half emasculated right there. The government began to be influenced by female thinking. That is feminine thinking, soft thinking, emotional thinking, if you can call it emotional thinking. And this is a fact. Women are easier to control. Women are easier to influence when it comes to downright force and use of authority. Feminists, meaning masculated females today, feminists want to control men, but they submit themselves to government authority. Except when it comes to abortion, I guess. Anyways, they submit, but they will not submit to the male of the species. But, where I'm going with this is the country became weakened by women being allowed to vote and influence policy. Not through their husbands, but directly with the government. Now you can say, well, that's a natural right, and you could say, well, that's a God-given right that women should be exercising too. Be that as it may, the system was not set up for that. The world is really not set up for that. It is a masculine world. To give you an example of that, when nations deal with nations, they are now acting like women, possibly with the exception of Russia and China, maybe. Governments think and act like women, but they react and behave and solve their problems like men. Nations will say, we want this and we want that. We want it of our people and we want it from other nations. We want what we want and we want it now, right? All of these little tantrums coming out of Obama in DC, they're very feminine. They're very feminine. When they don't get their way, they bomb and they go to war. So they think like women and they act like men. As people, they want our nation, the people of the nation of the United States of America, to think like women by emasculating us and then act like women. That is, take no action. The entire world has become feminized in negative ways, but the power, the military power, is being used in a masculine way, but with the feminine mind, the feminine mindset. Can you imagine Winston Churchill giving his nation over to third world immigrants the way it is today? It's hard to imagine that. I can't imagine Teddy Roosevelt backing down to other nations or acting like a spoiled child to other nations through his policy. He acted like a man. May not agree with his policies, all of them, but he acted like a man, he thought like a man. The world used to be that way. So men have been feminized. They have had the ability to have their honor, to defend their honor, to promote their honor taken from them, so they can only behave like women. Well, fast forward to the last 30 years.